Interest rates are falling again, and savings and fixed-term deposits are becoming more and more disappointing. While you could recently get 3 or 4% interest, now it's only 1 to a maximum of 2% per year. If you then subtract taxes and inflation, you're guaranteed to make a loss. So where can you park your money today and still earn good interest? Today we're comparing 3 very reliable platforms as alternatives to savings accounts, where I myself have invested more than 20,000 euros, and what you need to pay attention to on each one so that you can earn 6 to 14% interest per year while still being able to withdraw your money at any time. With that, welcome to Northern Finance. My name is Alex Bleck. Great to have you tuning in again today. Interest rates are currently continuing to fall and will probably keep dropping over the next few months and then remain low. No one expects interest rates to rise again anytime soon, and that's exactly what the market looks like right now. If you open a comparison for overnight deposit accounts, you'll see a maximum of 2% interest here at Commerzbank. But if we look at the offer, we see that this only applies to new money and not to existing customers or existing funds. That gets a measly 0.75% interest, and even the higher interest rate can quickly drop further if the ECB continues to lower rates. That's why we're now going to compare 3 very reliable alternatives to overnight deposit accounts, where you can also access your money very quickly, which is very important here, but at the same time you can earn significantly more interest. For this, we're comparing the 3 European platforms Swapper, Bondora and Monefit, all of which issue consumer loans in various countries across Europe, pay their investors very different interest rates ranging from 6% to 14%, and also have very different levels of profitability behind it all. Everything you need to know, liquidity, meaning how quickly you can access your money, security, as well as my own experiences and investments. I'll show you all of that now, and we'll get started right away. If you want to invest in any of these platforms, use the links below in the video description, because with those you'll get an extra bonus you wouldn't get with a regular sign-up. Let's get started, beginning with the interest rates. After the recent rate cut, short-term loans on Swapper now offer 12% interest instead of 14%, but for long-term loans of half a year, you can still get 14%. Anyone who invests more than 25,000 euros gets an additional 2% interest on both options, so you can earn between 12% and up to 16% per year here. As you can see here on the statistics page, I've been investing here for quite a long time, since 2018, and I now have 5,700 euros invested here. Bondora has also recently lowered its interest rates from 6.75% down to just 6%, and there's no way to earn more here. This is the interest rate for everyone and applies to all your money here. Here I currently have 3,300 euros invested, most of which is interest, as I've been investing here a very long time, since 2017 I believe in Go and Grow. Lastly, we have Monefit, which recently increased interest rates for almost all investors from 7.25% to 7.5%. This is the standard product Monefit Smart Saver, where you can withdraw your money anytime. Here I've invested 7,700 euros, and by using the vaults comparable to fixed term deposits, meaning fixed terms for higher interest rates, you can get between 8.33% and up to 10.5% interest at peak. I have also invested another 5,400 euros in the vaults, and if you choose the 24-month option, you can have the interest paid out to you monthly here. Otherwise, you receive it at the end of the term, just like with a regular fixed term deposit. You can also select a preferred date, for example, if you want to pay for a vacation or have another expense, and in this way you can also control the interest. The further the date is in the future, the higher the interest rate. This way you can get the maximum interest for yourself, and then let's talk about the payout of the interest, because with Swapper you receive your interest payments monthly. That means you won't receive any interest if you've been invested here for less than a month. However, since the loans here can be sold to other investors immediately, because the demand from investors is so high, you can also access your money right away, just like on the other platforms. In my case, it took less than a minute and I had the money in cash in my account ready for withdrawal, and then it only takes 2 more business days to have it directly. That can't happen to you with Bondora and Monefit, because here the interest is paid out daily. Swapper was founded in 2016, so it's almost 10 years old now. Bondora is significantly older and more experienced, just like the parent company Credit Star of Monefit, which was founded in 2006. All 3 are experienced companies, but the number of investors differs significantly. Swapper has just under 10,000 investors, making it the smallest in this comparison. Bondora, on the other hand, has almost 500,000, as they have focused on strong investor growth from the very beginning and have primarily financed themselves through this. Monefit was able to attract around 20,000 investors in 2 years, which is also very good. And even though the number of investors is so different, Swapper finances 26 million euros in loans per month, while Bondora finances 31 million euros. So there is actually very little difference, even though Bondora has so many more investors. Unfortunately, there is no data available for Monefit, but since CreditStar has many sources of financing such as bonds that are traded on the Nasdaq Baltic, which can be seen here, as well as Mintos and private loans from wealthy investors, the loan volume here is likely to be significantly higher. An audited annual financial statement of the parent company is available for all three, but the most recent profit differs significantly. Unfortunately, Swapper, or rather, the parent company Wondu Finance, always publishes its figures relatively late, so for 2024 we only have unaudited numbers. According to this presentation with the figures, a post-tax profit of 2.1 million euros was made, and the first quarter of 2025 was significantly more profitable than 2024. The audited profit in 2023 was 414,000 euros, as can be seen on page 10 of the annual report. So recently there has been enormous growth here. Swapper is truly a growth company. Bondora had to report a decline in profit to 1.2 million euros due to one-off provisions, as can be seen on page 12 of the annual report. This was because they want to become a bank here and have to account differently. Otherwise, the profit would have been significantly higher, probably around 5 to 6 million here. Monefit is the clear winner here with 8.1 million euros. Its parent company CreditStar is significantly more profitable than the competition. It's very similar with the balance sheet total, which in the last audited annual report of Wondu Finance, Swapper's parent company stands at 23 million euros. Bondora is almost identical with 27 million euros, but CreditStar is much larger with 367 million euros on the balance sheet. The situation is reversed when it comes to repayments. Since the founding of Swapper and Bondora, repayments have always been smooth, and the same goes for Monefit. However, CreditStar loans on Mintos were not serviced on time in 2023 in some cases and were then paid off over more than 6 months. There were liquidity problems here more than 2 years ago, but they have not occurred again since then, and all investors on Monefit have been paid on time since, as have all other investors on Mintos and similar platforms. And since we're already talking about payouts, how quickly can you actually access your money? With Swapper, you have to wait 2 business days after you've sold your loans or let them mature. With Bondora, the money is credited to your account immediately with many banks, and very likely still on the same day, even if you have a slightly older bank account here, which is really great. With Monefit, you have to wait 10 business days, which is the longest here, but as mentioned, all payouts have so far been processed on time. Also important to know, as you can see here, your money continues to earn interest until the payout, which is also important. They are working on being able to offer instant payouts as well, so that the money is really credited directly to your account, but at the time of recording, that's simply not the case yet. There aren't many translations of the website available on Swapper, only Estonian and English are offered here, whereas Bondora and Monefit provide a wide range of languages to choose from. The parent company and the lenders are regulated for all three, but the platforms themselves are not, and with 3 markets, Swapper has the fewest markets here. Bondora and Monefit have the most countries, and it's clear to say that CreditStar is the largest among the 3. Let's draw a conclusion from this. So here we have the complete overview from our comparison, and as you can see, there are quite a few similarities among the 3. Overall, these are all options with more risk than a savings or fixed-term deposit account, but given the interest rates, you have to take on a certain amount of risk if you don't want to accept a guaranteed loss. I have invested the least in Bondora due to the comparatively low interest rates. To be exact, 3,300 euros is the amount I invested on Bondora, the second most in Swapper with 5,700 euros, and by far the most in Monefit with 13,200 euros. Monefit is simply my personal favorite, which is why I invested the most here, but it should also be noted that Monefit has 3 red fields here, compared to only 2 for Swapper and 1 for Bondora. Still, I think the risk is worth it to earn significantly more interest than, for example, with Bondora. I also find the much stronger profitability of Monefit's parent company CreditStar Group to be very important, and for those who are aware of the roughly 10 business day payout period, I think you can find a very good offer here in my opinion. As mentioned, the link is below in the video description. If you want the highest security and the fastest liquidity, you should go with Bondora. The money is immediately available in your account, but the interest rates here are lower and will probably continue to decrease in the future rather than rise again, since they now want to become a bank and will therefore take a more conservative approach overall and have to offer lower interest rates. In my opinion, Swapper is for people who want to get the maximum interest here while also having liquidity. For that, you have to be willing to take on a certain amount of risk because your liquidity depends on other investors. They have to be willing to buy these loans from you, and then you can also get your money very quickly. That's the risk you take here. There has to be demand so you can get your money quickly. Otherwise, you have to wait for the loan term to end, which means 30, 60 days or up to half a year if you've bought loans with such long durations. Links to all platforms, as I said, with an extra bonus, are in the video description, as well as my on-site visits and full reviews if you want to learn more. And now the question is, who do you think is the best provider? Let me know in the comments below. I'm looking forward to the exchange. With that, I wish you good returns and see you next time.